Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'll turn the mic on, I'll start that again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land within the Shire of Chittering, the Ewart and the Whadjuk peoples. We would like to pay respect to the elders of the Noongar Nation, past and present, who have walked and cared for the land. We acknowledge and respect the continuing culture and the contributions made to this region. I declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. And please note, as per Council Resolution 130423, this meeting is being live streamed. But you in the gallery are lucky because the camera doesn't capture you. So don't be shy. Item 2, record of attendance, apologies, approved leave of absence and announcements. In attendance, we have council except for Councillor Jewell, who is an apology due to the storm. He had to leave, unfortunately, to take care of some storm damage. We also have an apology, Mr. Scott Clayton, Deputy Chief Executive Officer, but we are joined by Mr. Isaac Parfrey, Senior Planning Officer. So thank you. Approved leave of absence. There are nil. Announcements. Councillors are requested to provide a list of attendances in their role as elected members. We have a list on the screen. Councillors, are there any further items to be added to the list? Councillor Campbell?
Sandown Park, please, same as Carly's.
Anything further? Thank you. I'll move on to the next item. Item 3, disclosures of interest. We have 2 disclosures of interest. First disclosure of interest is from Councillor Carmel Ross. It's a financial interest, and the nature and the extent of the interest is a business owned by her spouse is a supplier of an existing liquor store in Bindoon, and it's in relation to item DS02, application for development approval 17 Binder Place, Bindoon. As a result of the financial interest, when it comes to the matter of this item, Councillor Ross will leave the room while Council debates the item. The next item of business, next disclosure of interest is Mr. Leo Puda, Executive Manager of Technical Service. His interest is in a confidential item, CON01, tender number SC25, complete road widening works at Blue Plains Road. The type of interest is financial. The nature is that his son works for a company who submitted a tender. Councillors, are there any other disclosures of interest? If there's no other disclosures of interest, I'll move on to item 4, public question time. Responses to previous public questions taken on notice, there are nil, which takes us to public question times. Are there any questions from the public? No public questions. We'll move on to item 5, petitions, presentations and deputations. We start with petitions. Councillors, you have in front of you an officer's recommendation to receive the petition. The petition is PET01 0225, and the petition is to support officer's recommendation DS02 0225, application for development approval 17 Binder Place, Bindoon. Councillors, can I have a mover to receive the petition?
Happy to move it.
Councillor Angus. Councillor Angus, mover. Seconder, please. Councillor Hughes. Councillor Angus.
Is Mr. Diano going to get up and present it?
Well, not. We're just receiving it with this.
Okay.
There's a petition. No, he's got a deputation later.
Oh,
Oh, no, he hasn't. So, quite true. No, I've got it wrong. We had deputation last week, so this is
Yeah.
to receive the petition.
I'm just happy to receive the petition. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Hughes?
Nothing else to add. We've all been sent it to review.
Councillors, is anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation that council receive the petition? Does anyone wish to speak for it? Right of reply. Councillor Angus?
Nothing, thank you.
Councillors, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried without dissent 6-0. Next item is petition PT02 0225, Mr. Steve Scott, and his petition is to oppose officer's recommendation DS02 0225, application for development approval 17, bin to place bin Doon. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive this petition. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Curtis, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Curtis.
Yeah, Mr. President, I accept the petition. I think it's quite a large, 130 signatures or more. Yeah, I'm happy to receive that.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Campbell.
Nothing to add, thanks.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation to receive the petition? Councillor Curtis, you have right of reply.
Nothing more to add.
Councillors, no one speaking against the officer's recommendation that council receive the petition. I'll declare carried without dissent 6-0. Next item is petitions. There are nil petitions. Deputations. We have 2 deputations this evening. The first deputation is DEP 01 0225 by Mr. Steve Scott, speaking to the officer recommendation DS02, application for development approval 17, bin to place bin Doon. Mr. Scott.
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Sorry, so if you'd like to present your deputation now, so do you want to speak to...
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Just stand up.
Stand up?
Yep, stand up there and...
Excuse me for not knowing the procedure. Okay, first point I have is no public demand. According to the relevant planning guidelines, a private interest in the application should not be confused with the public interest. Simply wanting to open a liquor store does not justify automatic approval, especially where there is no community need. Negative impact on existing business is always a concern. And if I can expand there a little bit, we've got a town of around 1,200 people, and to include another liquor outlet, which would make 4 liquor outlets in a very small town, to me is very difficult to accept. You know, we could have a concentration of any sort of business in town. And if we look at the submissions from the public, which I've given to the council, of about 160 people, nobody wants another liquor store. And if you have a look through our survey, there is a lot of suggestions for different businesses. in other words, we don't need to concentrate on one business. We don't need 4 bakeries. We don't need 4 etceteras. And through our survey, we have found that the people don't want another liquor store, but they do want something like a vet or a cafe or many other interests that the people in the town require. We've got to consider that there is a lot of businesses in town that serve the public excellently. But there's a lot of businesses that we don't have in town. And from our survey, we found that our suggestions were for different businesses rather than concentrating on one business, which people believe is a lucrative business, which is alcohol. I can tell you that's not the case. It's a business that people want, but they don't want concentration of it. And if you people have a look through our survey and read the comments, you will find that the people want other things. The other point I've got is public interest. And we can go down to parking and traffic impact. When the Bindoon General Store sought to expand our existing outlet, which was back in about 2015, we were required to provide 12 parking bays to meet Shire standards. We question that there is similar requirements that have been enforced on the new proposal, as increased traffic from liquor store could further strain parking infrastructure, impacting nearly business and diminishing accessibility to convenience of residents. And if we all have a look through Binder Place, particularly on a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, there's not many parking spots to go through. So why were we back in 15 required to have 12 parking bays when there is not 12 parking bays here now? Okay, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Town site zoning. According to Part 3 of the Shire's zoning objectives, a town site, with a lot of numbers there, approving a new liquor outlet would establish business already serving the community and conflicts with these objectives. Compatible uses are those that coexist with that introduction conflict. And looking further than that, if we look at your zoning, we go down to a shop which is in the town site, has a P with it. And if you look further into that, the P says shop. Premises, this is in the town site, premises other than bulky goods showrooms. A liquor store large or liquor store small, which means a liquor store by the council should not be allowed in Binder Place. I'm not sure if I've got too much else, but the community impact. Approving an additional liquor store would not serve in the public interest, and that's described pretty much in the survey that we ran. Studies show that a high outlet density correlates with increased alcohol-related harm, impacting community well-being. Bindoon's small population is already adequately served by the existing outlets, and another risks introduction of harms associated with greater alcohol availability. Inaccuracies in the applicant's submission. The applicant's submission contains notable inaccuracies. Further, a supporting letter, from Liquor Barons claims that the need for local store focused on Chittering and Swan Valley wines, a need already met by the Bindoon General Store and the hotel and Chincorbee. The application also claims that Bindoon residents must travel 40 minutes to access liquor store with a reasonable range of alcohol. Nonsense. The Bindoon General Store provides an extensive selection of over 115 wines, 61 beers, 51 spirits and 40 RT ready to drink. The residents already have sufficient local options. But that's all I've got to add, apart from what do you people want in this town. From our survey, we have found that the people want additional businesses, such as a vet, such as a gym, and many other businesses to help out the people. You've got to understand that everybody in town, young people obviously, but a lot of the old people don't drink alcohol. But they want something else. They want to go down to a cafe in an evening and have a meal. And then we get on to the subject of the restaurant that has failed and failed and failed. And the reason why it was failed, in my opinion, it should never have been allowed to be built. You wouldn't find a restaurant like that in Lygon Street, Melbourne. But people want a small area to have a cafe so they can go down and have their cups of tea, etc., etc. Excuse my nervousness, please. But that pretty much sums up my submission, that to me, to have 4 local alcohol-related businesses in a town that's got around 1,200 people is ridiculous. When we have other avenues for business, such as I said, a cafe, a vet, a gym, which if you have a look through, as I said, if you have a look through our petition, that is what the people want. And isn't it about what the public want here? So excuse me for nervousness, etc., but that's all I've got to add.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Excuse me, there's one other thing. I believe
Stace and Mandy and Shane, who are part of my group at the Bindoon General Store, are watching, I believe, this on internet tonight, so they asked me if I could say a hello.
They're not going to see you, but they might hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, next item of business is Deputation 02-0225 by Mr Nick Humphrey, speaking to Officer Recommendation DS02-0225, application for development approval, 17 Binder Place, Bindoon. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. My name is Nick Humphrey and I reside at 6949 Great Northern Highway. I've been a landowner and ratepayer in the Shire for over 40 years and my deputation is opposing the proposed development of a liquor store in Binder Place. I'd like to just start, for my own clarity, running through a few definitions which you're aware of, I'm sure. Firstly, Binder Place is a town site zone, according to the LPCS. And a shop is a permitted development in a town site zone. The LPS number 6 definition of a shop explicitly excludes the business of operating as a liquor store. I think this definition was deliberately made to prevent a liquor store being established in the middle of the town site zone. And I think it was a wise decision and not one to be brushed aside. I think the ambience and inclusive nature of a town site zone is most important and valuable, and it is considerably inhibited with the presence of a liquor store in the middle of that zone. So for the sake of the ambience and the inclusiveness of the whole community, I think we need to preserve the town site zone. I'd like also to mention that the Shire decided to look for the zoning, for the land use for a liquor store, and they found none after the in the list of uses. To then classify the site as use not listed, which then opened the door for the Shire to suggest that the use for a liquor store can be promoted. I think that is really a bit mischievous, and I think that sort of suggestion requires open and transparent discussion. I think that concludes my submission. Thank you very much.
Please excuse me again, am I allowed to add something that I missed or not?
No, I'll give you a quick second.
Sorry?
I'll give you that a few minutes if you
Okay.
need. No, you can. If you've got something to add, you can add it now. Just quickly.
Okay, I'll do it as quick as I can, and I'm looking at the zoning in the town site, and a shop under P has premises. This is premises allowed. Premises other than bulky goods showroom, a liquor store large or liquor store small, which means in that zoning in the town, a liquor store is not allowed.
Thank you, Steve. Right. Okay, so that's our deputations for this evening. Next item of business is is item 6, application for leave of absence. We have an application for leave from Councillor Hughes. Councillor Hughes, we move your application. Can I have a seconder for Councillor Campbell?
It's just from February 27th through to 3rd of March.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Campbell.
Nothing to add.
Councillors, is anyone speaking against the motion? Councillors, if no one speaking against the motion, I'll declare carried 6-0. Councillors, any other applications for leave of absence? Okay, I'll move on to item 7, confirmation of minutes. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation. An officer's recommendation for the minutes of ordinary council meeting held on Wednesday, the 11th of December, as published on the Shire website, be confirmed. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Curtis. Councillor Campbell, I think you were the delegate. Councillor Curtis.
Nothing more to add. I accept those minutes, how they're written.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Campbell.
Nothing to add, thanks.
Councillor, is anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for the officer's recommendation? Right, reply. I assume not reply.
Nothing. Yeah.
Councillors, if no one speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried with that dissent 6-0. Item 8, announcements from the presiding member. This is our first council meeting of the year, and we have already had 2 citizenship ceremonies, welcoming 12 new Australian citizens into our Shire. We've had the Australian Day celebrations, and we've had our annual electors meeting. It's been a bit busy. This week, unfortunately, we had a very large fire in Bindoon. And I would like to sincerely thank our bushfire brigades, our volunteers, DFIS and other community members, and especially those from neighbouring and some not so neighbouring fire brigades who came all this way to assist and provide support. The long hours of fighting the fire throughout the night is sincerely appreciated, as can be attested by all the positive feedback the brigades are getting on social media. So thank you very much, and take the opportunity to thank our fire brigades. Item 9, reports. First report is Development Services, DS010225, amendment to Council Policy 9.7, temporary accommodation during construction of a dwelling. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to adopt the amended policy 9.7. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus, and I think Councillor Curtis was a seconder. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. I think this has definitely been an important amendment for us to look at. With the current housing crisis, it allows more flexibility for temporary accommodation while we still have some control over not letting people live indefinitely in substandard accommodation, and it gives the Shire staff some guidance on what is acceptable and what isn't. So I'm happy to receive this.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Curtis.
Yes, Mr. President, I agree with the officer's recommendation, but I'd like to put an amendment.
Sure.
My amendment, goes to the background that the executive put in here. I'd like to add to that, if possible.
So that's not an amendment.
Because they've got here, West Australia is currently facing a houses crisis due to a combination of factors, including shortage of available housing, population growth and demand for rentals and rising rental prices, but they don't say the government's done nothing for 20 years about the housing problem. So I'd like to add that in there.
Councillor Curtis, you can't add that to that. You can make the statement like you've done, but you can't add that wording as an amendment to that officer's recommendation. That's background information. You can certainly debate your position that the government's done nothing. That's entirely your choice.
Yeah, I'll accept the officer's recommendation. Leave it at that.
You're quite welcome to continue.
At least they've done, well, at least they've done something little, haven't they?
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Angus.
Nothing else to add, thank you.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. I suppose just to highlight that one of the original objectives of this policy was to, I suppose, provide financial relief to people who are building a home, that rather than having to rent another premises somewhere else while their place is being built, they can live on site under the conditions that this policy provides. So it is meant to be a support to the members of our community while they can establish themselves in the Shire. So it's a particularly worthwhile policy for us to adopt.
Thank you, Councillor Ross.
I've had it.
Right reply not required. Councillors, I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. 6-0. Unanimously. 6-0. The next item of business is DS02, application of a development approval, 17 Binder Place, Bindoon. We must ask Councillor Ross to leave chambers. She has declared a financial interest, and under the Local Government Act, disclosures of interest, she must leave the room. Okay, councillors, we have an officer's recommendation here in regards to the application. Broadly, council grants development approval as per the officer's recommendation. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Angus. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to those who've given us a deputation and provided us with some information. And I was particularly impressed with the deputation last week from Mr Diano with the amount of detailed information about his plan and intention. Council's been looking for many years for a way to activate the empty spaces in the town site with more services and provide more employment for locals. And unfortunately, Council's not in a position to decide whether someone wants to approach us to build a gym or whether they want to approach us to build a vet. Yes, those things would all be good, but we haven't had people approach us to build that sort of thing. And it's not Council's decision to tell people what they really should be building. I'm aware of the concerns of the general store and have read the submissions that have been provided, and we're all very aware that competition is not a planning ground to knock back a application. If we were to do something like that, we'd only have to look down our main street. You can buy bread and cakes at the bakery, but also at the IGA. You can buy gifts at the gift shop and at the pharmacy. You can buy cold drinks at the petrol station, the IGA and the bakery, fruit and veg at the Locavore and the IGA. Yes, there's alcohol at the Scotalion and at Chincorbee, but you can't go in and browse the shelves and buy bottles to take home from those stores. I hadn't seen anyone who had completed your survey, so perhaps it's customers who come into the general store that had completed the survey. I know a lot of people who do go down to Perth or to Joondalup somewhere to purchase alcohol because of the variety available. Parking we discussed with the deputation and discussions last week. that it hasn't been enforced on other businesses in Binder Place. I wasn't aware that it has been enforced for the general store. So that was something new to me tonight. Thank you for that. But in Binder Place, there is plenty of parking since we bitumised the end of Binder Place with the overflow parking, and then more overflow parking down beside the service station. I think it's important to keep local businesses progressing here, keep money in our town by providing employment for new people, and hopefully stop as many people driving to Joondalup, Ellenbrook, Midland to buy their alcohol. So I will be supporting the officer's recommendation tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Campbell.
Can I make an amendment now? Or,
You can do.
So to remove condition 4 and replace an advice note. Do I need to read it out, or you got a copy? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you might need to make
Yeah,
and turning that into an advice note. Is that what you're doing?
yeah. Deleting
Delete
condition 4.
I think to be pedantic, you have to also then specify that the subsequent numbering to be adjusted.
And the number be adjusted.
So item
Subsequent number to be adjusted.
1.
remove condition 4 and subsequent renumber.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Campbell, you are the mover.
Yeah, I'm the mover.
Can I have a seconder for the amendment?
I'm happy to second that.
Right, Councillor Campbell.
So the reason for the, I suppose, for the deletion of condition 4 is the intention was for the staff members from the bottle shop to park at a parking spot, I think, next to the fuel station, which means the Shire staff have to go and take down number plates, record them, and if there's a continual staff change, there's a whole bunch of administration involved with that, and how are we going to police it or enforce it? It's just very cumbersome. The other point to note is there is no other stipulation of any other Binder Place businesses that have that requirement. I appreciate the general store has it, but the general store, I suppose, is not considered part of Binder Place, and I assume that's why they had that. But as Councillor Angus stipulated, mentioned, there was a bitumised car park made at the end of Binder Place. So that's the reasoning behind that. I think it's just a lot less cumbersome and a lot more streamlined.
Councillor Angus.
Yeah, I agree with all that Councillor Campbell has said, and yeah, especially the fact that we don't impose that on any other businesses in Binder Place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Anyone speaking against the amendment?
Not against.
For?
For, I think that it would be naturally in the business's best interest not to prevent people being able to park out the front of their shops. So I think in busy times, or should it become a problem, it would naturally occur to management to ask the staff to park elsewhere. My only concern with that is that elsewhere they may consider a couple of bays down in front of another store. But, and this kind of loosens up the ability for the Shire to enforce them not doing that, which may become a problem in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillors? Councillor Ross not here. Okay, I'll make a few comments. One concern I had with this, with staff members parking at the overflow area, was due to the late trading hours and having people have to walk to the end at late evening, and the security risks that could present. So it would make sense to me that in the PM shifts that the staff members are able to park closer so that it doesn't expose them to any other risks of that can occur, we know. So that was one of the issues I saw with that, and I do concur with other councils that we already have no constraint on parking for the existing premises along Binder Place, and to the life of me I could never tell whether anyone from the Bendigo Bank or someone from the butcher was parking in any of the car parks. It's just not decisable. So I think it'll be a self-regulating parking arrangement by default in the interest of their own business. So I support the amendment. Councillor Campbell, you have right of reply.
Nothing further to add, thank you.
Councillors, I'll put the amendment as on the screen. It should be a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Keep going, keep going. That's good. Put that to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment? Against? Carried 4-1. No, sorry. 4-1, yes. I got it right this time. Councillor Campbell, you're on the substantive motion. Do you have anything to add?
Thank you. So I acknowledge the petition for those who are not supportive of the application and appreciate that the general store may be negatively impacted by gauging by the support that the petition garnered. The proponent actually might struggle to break into the market if the petition's correct and everyone will still carry on supporting the general store. However, we do live in a capitalistic society and it's a democratic society, and we're all free to shop where we want, and our competitive nature, it's the backbone of our society. It's a free market, and the free market should dictate if the store will succeed or not. A positive outcome is the area's been developed. It's been I suppose a dusty bowl for a few years, which it's a good thing. So a vacant property could become developed and a functional retail space within the Bindoon retail precinct. So support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Okay, councillors, anyone speaking against the substantive motion? Speaking against? Councillor
Yes,
Curtis?
against.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Curtis.
Look, this is, I've got a few points. Like the petition, Steve from the general store said there's only 1,200 people, so something's going to happen. It's either the new bottle shop will win, Steve will lose, or they'll lose. There's only going to be one winner. So who do we want to win? We don't. Steve, the bottle shop has been in Bindoon forever. It's an iconic destination, iconic building. It's provided a service to the local community for decades, and we want to let some multinational company come in to Bindoon and wreck the businesses here. Do we want, a small business be put out by some big business? I mean, that's not fair to me, I reckon. And Mary Councillor Angus, she said, it's not the role of council to decide what businesses come here. Well, we got to listen to the ratepayers, what they want. They don't want this. You want to listen to businesses or you want to listen to the ratepayers. That's why we're elected for, to listen to what people want, not what some business wants to come here and bloody wreck the joint, like good Sammy's done. I'm sick of these multinationals and big businesses coming here and, wrecking every damn little people's businesses. I'm not voting for this.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Hughes?
Not speaking against, but I do have a question probably for the Executive Manager of Development Services in regards to the zoning. The zoning for the general store, is that also town site?
Yes.
Okay, so under the zoning table, by just reading it on face value what it says in our zoning table, there shouldn't be liquor for sale in the general store because, as was explained, they sell 115 kinds of wine, 61 different beers, 51 spirits and 40 RTD drinks. And that if you read the whole definition, it says a liquor store large or a liquor store small used to sell goods by retail. And by that definition, that is what the the general store is doing.
So while I don't have the historical schemes of the Shire available, I assume the general store was assessed against the scheme of the day, and at that point in time, possibly the sale of liquor at a shop was allowable. At this point in time, we have to assess the application under the scheme of the day and the definitions of the day. So if an application for a shop came to us, they wouldn't be categorised as a liquor store because it's in that definition. So I'm assuming that the assessment done at the time for the general store was correct and the sale of liquor was permitted. But I haven't got that information available to me, sorry.
No, I just wanted to clear that up because it seems just reading the zoning table as it is, then it's not entirely clear that that's black and white as the definition of what is a liquor store, what is another store. So other than that, I concur with all of the comments of the other councillors in favour of this application. I think we've had some very good declarations from both of the parties for and against, and we've had a really good discussion about it and report, and I believe that given all of that information, I support the officer's recommendation to approve.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. I'll speak to the item now. I guess a couple of points I want to make. I don't prescribe to the notion that another liquor store is going to increase alcohol consumption. It's simply going to give people a choice of where they buy their alcohol. So I think the notion of public interest in terms of that regard, I don't agree with it. The issue around the parking, it's been well covered by other councillors, is that we have existing parking. All the businesses have availability to that parking, and so I don't foresee it to be an issue with parking, particularly there is later operating hours for the business. We need to encourage businesses in the town site. It is a blight on our town strip that we have vacant land and it looks unfinished, it looks incomplete. To encourage businesses is what's important for council. I think also it will bring considerable passing traffic that will support other businesses. So not only will people go to the bottle shop, they'll go to IGA and vice versa. So it has greater community benefit than just a liquor store selling alcohol. As with other councils, I note the deputations and petitions, and I thank you for those. But in general, I support the development application. Right. Councillor Angus, you have right of reply.
Thank you. The only other thing I would like to say is that I find the definition of shop in the planning table a little confusing, possibly misleading, because if you read the whole paragraph, it tends to read premises other than a bulky goods showroom, which would be a great big bulky goods showroom, a liquor store, large or liquor store small, used to sell goods by retail, to hire goods or to provide services of a personal nature, including hairdressing or beauty therapy services. Well, we have shops that sell goods by retail. We have places in the main street that hire goods. We have services provided of a personal nature, including hairdressing and beauty therapy services. So it's misleading to read that a liquor store, large or small, is excluded. And perhaps we need a better definition put in there because it's very misleading. That's all I've got to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Okay, councillors. I'll put...
Nevertheless, it does say
Well,
liquor
that's...
store, large or
Thanks, Steve.
small, is not permitted.
Thanks, Steve.
Whether you read on from that or not, it says there's a liquor store, large or small,
Steve.
is not permitted.
Steve,
Not what it says.
you've had your chance to do a deputation. It's now council's turn
Okay,
to discuss.
okay.
Okay? All right, councillors. We have a mover, a second, right of reply we've had. I'll put the officer's recommendation, well, the amended substantial motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 4-1. Can you ask Councillor Ross to return? Can you note that Councillor Ross has returned, James? Not already? Thank you. You have one step ahead. Okay, next item of business is technical services, TS01 0225, budget request for regional road group funding North Road. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to authorise a budget amendment to add capital road project, regional road group North Road to the 24-25 budget with the following financial implication: increased capital road expenditure by 337,155 and increased capital grant income by 224,770. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Curtis. Seconder? Yes, thank you.
You'd have to use the Stevens Road gate to get them. The trees are all down on the other end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Curtis.
Nothing to add, Mr. President. I'll accept the officer's recommendation as written, mate.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Campbell.
I suppose it's good to see that some of the northern roads are getting sealed and expanded, so it's good for growing the network. And I think we've allowed for a budget alignment to cover the additional expenses. So look forward to keep the northern cousins happier. Thank you. Support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Speak for. Okay. I don't see anything that's been said. Councillor Curtis, you have right of reply.
Nothing more to add.
Okay, councillors, if no one is speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 6-0. Carried without dissent, 6-0. Thank you. Corporate Services, CS01, list of accounts paid for the period ending 31st December 2024. Okay. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the list of accounts. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Campbell, the mover, thank you. Councillor Ross, the seconder. Councillor Campbell.
No, nothing to add. Just receive the report of accounts paid. So all in order.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Ross?
Yes, very straightforward, thank you.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Right, a reply, Councillor Campbell?
No, thank you.
Quiet. Councillors, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried without dissent. 6-0. Next item of business is CS02, 0225, monthly financial report for the period ending 31st of December 2024. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the monthly financial report. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Campbell. I'll second it. Oh. Councillor King. Myself. Councillor Campbell.
Same as before, receive the report, just all good.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Yes, happy to receive the report. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? No one speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare carried without dissent. 6-0. Yeah, I'm just wondering whether to do an envelope. No, I can't now, can I? All right, next item of business is CS03, list of accounts paid for the period ending 31st of January 2025. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the list of accounts. Can I have a move for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus. Seconder. Councillor Hughes. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. I didn't see anything out of order in the report, so I'm happy to receive that.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes.
All looked in order to me also, so happy to receive.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Angus, right, a reply?
Nothing
Right.
to add, thank you.
Councillors, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried without dissent. 6-0. Next item of business is CS04, monthly financial report for the period ending 31st of January 2025. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the monthly financial report for the period ending 31st of January 2025. Can I have a mover? I might as well move it. Give myself a go. I'll move it. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ross. As the mover, I'm happy to receive the monthly financial report and have no further comment. Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? No one speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare it carried without dissent. 6-0. Next item of business, CS05, 0225, 2024 to 2025 budget review. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation by an absolute majority that Council adopts the 2024-2025 budget review with a closing surplus of $22,446. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus. Seconder. Councillor Ross. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. We have discussed the budget review a little bit last week and spent some more time on it earlier this evening before the meeting. I'm happy with the way it's been presented to us and the variations to the adopted budget, and we will look at it again coming up to budget time in a few months' time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. This has been a very difficult and demanding budget to manage and implement, and so in the review process it has been necessary to make some changes to get us to the best possible position by the end of this financial year. So we don't like having to make cutbacks and sacrifices, but I think, as Councillor Angus just indicated, when we're developing the budget for the next financial year, that's when we take the opportunity to reinstate expenditure that we have a commitment to but can't do just yet. So I'm happy to accept what we have here.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation?
No.
Anyone wish to speak for? Okay, the only comments I will make is it's good to see projects were under budget. Some of the projects were under budget. I guess there are a number of items that were over budget for various reasons, and I think we need to be careful and considerate in our budgeting for these projects, such that we make adequate budget provisions for escalating costs during the period, and we don't end up in a position where all of our budgets are exceeded just because of things beyond our control, but certainly something we can take measures to try and ensure that they're adequately budgeted to cover the escalations that occur during the financial year. Having said that, the two additional projects are the North Road and the Mullumbini Road Black Spot. The additional cost to undertake those works in this budget, this financial year, for want of a better word, is at a cost of $222,000. So Council has made the conscious decision to advance those projects with the support of the funding to deliver on these projects earlier than planned. So that comes at a cost, and that cost has to be balanced in the budget. And that has been done. So I thank the staff for trying to balance what was a difficult opening position from last year. Councillors, right or reply? Councillor Angus?
Nothing that hasn't already been said, thank you.
Councillor Ross? Okay, councillors. Is anyone speaking? No one was speaking against it, I guess. I'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. 6-0. Chief Executive Officer section. First item of business is CEO 01, Work Health and Safety Report. Councillors, you have a officer's recommendation to receive the Shire's Work Health and Safety Statistic Report for the month ending January 2025. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ross. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. We have more information available to us this time because of the lack of a meeting in January. These are important figures and the results are generally quite pleasing. Nothing serious has gone wrong for anyone, and that's always what we're after. It's good to see the alcohol and drug testing continuing. Obviously that's been busy over the quarter with only one positive response. Positive reading. So I think this information is valuable to us, and I think it's valuable that the community can access this too and see that safety is a priority, the care of our staff matters to us. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Campbell?
No, nothing, thanks.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ross, right of reply, not required. Councillors, no one speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare carried without dissent 6-0. Next item of business, CEO 02-0225, mid-year corporate performance report as of December 2024. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to accept the mid-year corporate performance report. Receive.
receive or accept.
Accept or receive. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. Happy to receive this performance report. It's good to see where we're sitting in regards to what we hope is happening and just see what's falling behind, what isn't, what is being developed on time. So I'm happy to receive that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Campbell.
I suppose the report includes strategic performance, financial performance and operational performance. Worthwhile noting we've had a 1% increase on the annual actions we were completed on target by the 31st of December. So always good to see we have positive growth, even if it's 1%. So accept and receive your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Council, is anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Right, reply, Councillor Angus.
Nothing to add, thank you.
Okay, councillors, no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare carried without dissent, 6-0. Item 10. Did I miss one? All right, item 10, motions of which previous notice has been given. Councillors, we have, it's in relation to, first item is NWPN01. Councillor Campbell, electronic signboard, Lower Chittering. The motion reads that Council requests the Chief Executive Officer to investigate and report back to Council by no later than April 2024 ordinary Council meeting the following: the cause of the delay in power being connected to electronic media signboard. 2, alternative options and associated costs for connecting power to the signboard, including relocating the signboard to an area where mains power is readily available and or utilising a solar and battery power supply. And 3, traffic data analysis to assess the effectiveness of the current location of the signboard, particularly ensuring visibility to the majority of residents. 4, costs associated with relocating the signboard to the corner of Great Northern Highway and Mouchet East Road. 5, cost to install a second electronic media signboard at the corner of Hereford Way and Mouchet East Road. And 6, consider the outcomes of this investigation for inclusion in the 2025-2026 financial year budget planning process. That is the motion. Councillor Campbell, I assume you'll be the mover for your motion.
Yes, please.
Can I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Angus. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Councillor King. We've had 18 months of the sign being installed down by Lower Chittering, and it's been a struggle to have the power connected to the board. So this motion is just, the intention is to actually do a further study, as mentioned in the motion there, to possibly move it to a more effective place where there's readily power available. The other concern I have is when Madden South Road connects up to Guernsey Rise, you can get more traffic flowing out other areas out of Lower Chittering. The current position of that border, I think, is not going to reach the intended audience. And that's why I've recommended the Great Northern Highway and Mouchet East Road, because you're at traffic lights, people are forced to stop and read it. So I would say it would be the most effective signboard in the whole of Chittering.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to support this motion. I'm aware that we already have some answers, some officer comment answers to some of the points, but there are still points not answered. And I think we've spent a lot of money on these signboards. We need to have them working in one place or another, not just sat somewhere turned off. So, yeah, I think it's important that we get it resolved one way or another.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor, is anyone speaking against the motion? Councillor Curtis.
Mr. President, this the cost associated with relocating the signboard Great Northern in Mouchet East Road, how much is that going to cost? It doesn't say down here.
Councillor Curtis, the intent of the motion is to receive that information. So this motion seeks to receive that type of information. And then council...
I've got all the other information, but we haven't got the one that...
That is an officer comment, that's not a formal report. So this is seeking a formal report on those items 1 to 6.
Yeah, well, all right, I'll change my mind until I find out how much it's going to cost. Because I pass the house sign quite a lot and I never get to read it because I'm driving. You know, what's the difference where they put? So, yeah, I'll support the motion, but until when the costs come back, that's a different story, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Hughes.
I just have a question. Like, as part of the report, would it also seek permission from Main Road if they can locate it at that main intersection or not? Because it could be prohibitive if they're not going to allow it. So probably just to find out whether that is a possibility or not in the report would probably be necessary.
I'll defer to the Chief Executive Officer to respond.
Yes, our report will include both the feasibility and the cost. So if it's not feasible to move it there, we would identify why not.
Otherwise, supportive of the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Ross, anything from you? I support the motion to receive the report. So that's all I can say. So. All right, right of reply, Councillor Campbell.
Nothing further to add. Thank you very much.
Councillors, I'll put this one to the vote. A bit of confusion of who's for and who's against. All those in favour? Carried 6-0. Thank you. Item 11. Question from members without notice. Councillors, are there any questions?
Not tonight.
No questions. Item 12. New business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting. There are nil. Item 14. Meeting closed to the public. There is one item. So, councillors, you have a officer's recommendation. The council moves into confidential session to discuss the following item: CON 01 0225 tender number CS 25001, complete road widening works of Blue Plains Road, Chittering. Can I have a mover for this procedural motion? Ooh. Councillor Campbell, mover, and Councillor Angus, seconder. Councillors, anyone? Well, I'll put it to the vote. Councillors, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour of going behind closed doors? Closing the meeting. All carried, 6-0. Thank you very much. Oh, we are? Okay, so public reading of the resolution that council in confidential session made the following resolution. That council, 1, award the contract for road widening works, RFT-SC25-001, road widening works on Blue Plains Road to Chittering Valley Contractors Proprietary Limited for the sum of $405,961. And 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to approve the purchase order for the road widening works on Blue Plains Road, RFT-SC25-001. Item 5, closure. I declare the meeting closed at 8:22. Sorry?